special edition of the CK podcast here on the Basketball Zone Cowbell Kingdom YouTube channel. I'm your host, Leo Biaz, and today we have a co host by the name of Isaiah Ifoji. My man, how are you doing? I'm excited to have you on. You had me on your podcast. I liked it so
Yeah.
much that I said, you know what? I gotta have this dude on the show. How you doing,
Oh
brother?
yeah. I'm good. How about yourself?
I am good. We're talking a lot of basketball today, different types of topics, NBA, Kings talk, and I'll just wait for some people to join the show. It'll be available on iTunes, it'll be available on YouTube and Spotify and any other platform where you can get your podcasts as well. And uh, maybe towards the end, we might take some questions or some phone calls, depending on the
Oh yeah.
time. But we'll get through the topics. We'll interact with you guys on the live chat. And then if you guys want to call in, I'll open up the phone calls for you guys. But we're trying to get out of here and watch the Lakers and the Nuggets, right?
Oh yeah.
So, first things first, how long will it take the Kings to make the playoffs? Yesterday, they introduced new head honcho for basketball operations, Monte McNair, as a new GM. And as I've said in the past two episodes of this podcast, that I was expecting just that. Everything he said was low key. He didn't really answer many things, honestly, if you really look at it. And he did what he had to do. And I think he has things hand, up his sleeve. Sorry. So, what did you think overall of his introduction yesterday, Isaiah?
I seen he worked with Houston previously, correct?
Right.
And so yeah, he didn't say too much. I know he's really young, and so a lot of people get age and experience really messed up. I think because he's young, he's just gonna come in and make a bunch of boneheaded decisions and attend to the players too much. But I think it's more so experience. And for a quick example, one of my favorite head coaches in college basketball, Josh Pastner at Georgia Tech, he was 31 as the head coach of the University of Memphis, and people thought, oh, like it's going to be a disaster, but it's like experience. He knew he wanted to be a coach since he was in the fifth grade. So imagine that young studying the game, and so I think people are misconceive being young with just being young minded, and he seems really mature, keeping things close to the vest. I think the media wanted a few things to kind of a few things to nibble on, but I think he did the best thing, the more mature thing, to just kind of keep things close to the vest. And so I just wonder what he's going to do as far as making the actual moves. But it was solid. His introduction was solid.
1,000%. You hit it right in the head. He had to keep things in house pretty much. And one of the biggest takeaways for me yesterday was because of how the introduction went, I'm hoping that things don't get leaked like we've seen in the past 14 years with the Kings. They've been a laughing stock. Everybody knows what they're going to do or what they're thinking. My thing is keep that in house, and when you less expect it, make that move, right? So between his front office, he brought back Kent Canella, who was a great salary cap guy, and he's looking
Mhm.
to fill spots in his front office squad, and I believe he's going to surround himself, like he said, with a bunch of brilliant minds who think
Oh
alike, who
yeah.
have the same goal, and that's to break this awful, awful uh, playoffs,
Curse.
yeah, curse. This playoff curse, and I think it'll happen. How long will it happen is a question of the show. I'm saying 2 years, not this year, but the next. And one of the biggest reasons why is because I don't believe in Luke Walton. I like the guy as a person, have had great interactions with him. I just feel like the Kings are doing things the wrong way right off the bat, which is not allowing their new GM to bring in their own guy. And they've done this time and time again under Vivek Ranadive's tenure as the new owner of the Kings, and it just seemed like he just hasn't learned. I understand it from a financial standpoint, not firing Luke Walton. They don't want to essentially pay another guy to sit at home, pay him
Yeah.
millions of dollars, and then have to pay the new guy, whoever that would be, millions of dollars. And there's a lot of stuff going on behind closed doors with the minority owners as well, who have to pay some of that money. And with the pandemic and the potential of not having fans next year, it makes total sense. But
Yeah.
if you want to do things the right way, and I continue to hamper on this, you have to allow your guy to bring in his guy. And I told you guys he was going to say, "Yeah, I love Luke. We see eye to eye." And every new GM that's been introduced has taken on someone else's head coach, right? Someone else's leftover, and they all say the same thing until they get fired, right?
Exactly.
So
So
let's talk about
good.
other. So I think 2 years. How long do you think?
I mean, that's realistically. You gotta see how everybody develops. I would like Harry Giles to stay with the Kings. I don't know what's gonna happen as far as their decline. They're declining his option. But I looked at some of the draft targets. I think they want the kid out of FSU, Patrick Williams. But for some reason, at this stage, they claim they want to win now. But it's like their draft targets are all projects. As opposed, this is to where, again, I don't know if Obi Toppin has slipped to 12, but this is where you get the senior. This is where you get the guy who can contribute in the interim instead of drafting a project, because that just delays the rebuilding process. You'll be in this thing for another 3 or 4 years, because college to the NBA is a big jump. And so 2 years sounds ideal, but just given the way they draft and the way they draft projects, it might take longer. But something has to be drastic. It has to be a drastic change. They have to get an older, experienced guy that's going to help them win in the interim instead of waiting as long if it wants to be 2 years. So it just all depends on their draft picks, their targets. And so this pre-draft process is going to be kind of iffy because, with Corona, long story short. But in order for them to get to the playoffs in 2 years, they have to draft properly instead of, because they're looking at Patrick Williams out of FSU. They're looking at a couple of guys, but they're all projects as opposed to a for sure guy who what you're getting out of them. So in order for them to make it in 2 years, they will have to draft right and then develop right.
Exactly. And today or yesterday, really, with Woj breaking the news that the NBA made it official on how they plan on attacking the NBA draft combine, virtually beginning on September 28th through probably mid to late November. I got word from some people who I know that it could be until November 31st. And how they will approach it, I think it's interesting. I think it's the only way, honestly. Essentially having one trainer and it being like a virtual live is essentially what we're doing now, but watching that individual, that prospect work out. So how that would work out is, say they're from Atlanta, and whatever the nearest facility is, that's where it would be. And it's for the people who get invited to the draft combine. As we know, everyone doesn't get invited. So I asked the question, what about the people who won't get invited to the combine? And I think it'll be just like any other pro day. They'll have their own trainer, put them through drills. Again, to me, it's difficult because as a potential front office person or a head coach who's watching these prospects, I'm thinking to myself, well, I would put them through different stuff, or I would put them through this or that. And everything's going to be catered to their strengths, I believe, because if I'm the agent, if I'm the agent, why would I show the weaknesses of my prospect, right? So
it's going to be a lot of guessing. It's going to be a lot of guessing. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's to me, it's going to be difficult. And anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, it's just a lot of guys who fly under the radar won't be seen. There will be no Terrence Davis is out of this year's draft. No guys who wouldn't get drafted, or because kind of you are what you are at this point, and it just makes it tough for front office guys to guess. And so essentially, just in terms, even Sacramento, even in terms of this team, they would just have to pick right, and it's going to be a lot of guessing games. Agents are going to do what their guys are the most good at. They're going to play to their strengths. They're not going to show a weakness. I think everybody, of course, has to shoot the 3-point shot. But if the guy's a catch and shoot guy, they're not going to implement a lot of off the dribble stuff. And it's going to be a lot of games being played with the agents trying to make their guys look as best as possible. But I like it live instead of a workout video from YouTube, to where if a guy misses 6 in a row, it's not just a bunch of his makes, because a highlight is, of course, there to highlight, to make you look good. So I suppose that's the takeaway from it, and just get to see a guy work out and stuff. But it'll be interesting to see what type of shape these guys are in, and that could potentially hurt some people. Well, I guess if a guy has a fluid, workout, It's only 40 up to 45 minutes. So I guess if the guy has a fluid workout, it'll move him up some way. But if the guy looks out of shape, it's going to move him down. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out and how vital of a role it is as far as guys getting drafted.
1,000%. 1,000%. I know we originally had planned for projected top 14 picks, and then we kind of changed it towards the
Yeah,
end of the show because that's a whole show in itself. Trying to break
exactly.
down 14 dudes, you know, even the first round, right? We'll dedicate a show as a mock draft for the first round in the very near future. But today, let's talk about 3 prospects who you think are interesting. Not just saying I like him or I don't like him, because interesting can be both things, right? Like, I think this dude's going to be a bust, so he's interesting because he has hype, or I really like this dude. Some people are going to sleep on him. So that's what I define as interesting. So without further ado, who do you think is your top 3 most interesting players of this upcoming draft?
I would go LaMelo Ball.
Okay.
He's interesting to me. I like Tyrese Halliburton.
Okay.
And so LaMelo Ball, Tyrese Halliburton, and I want to say James Wiseman, but that just sounds too mainstream to go with those guys. So I'm gonna show some love to another Memphis guy and go Precious Achua.
Okay. Like it.
So would you like me to start off with LaMelo Ball?
Go ahead.
Obviously, he's a 6'7", long, rangy, springy, tantalizing prospect. On the offensive end, of course, I know defense is in question, but I believe with his length and size, even if he puts a little bit of effort, he will be more than subpar defensively. But again, not a whole lot of film. There's more hype than film, but I believe he's worth every bit of the hype. For him to go 16 years old to a professional league in Lithuania, a lower tier club over there in Europe, and to even average 3 or 4 points, he's playing against grown men, as opposed to the prospect averaging 15, 20 points amongst their contemporaries. And so I think that's how you should look at it. But it's going to be interesting to see. I'm hoping they have like a fall league or a winter league, which is, of course, aligned with the summer league, of course, just to give these guys some run in a bubble environment, that just to keep us safe. But I think he's interested in that regard, just to see as to what he'll do. But I believe he's going to flourish in the league. And then second, with Obi Toppin, he wasn't really highly heralded out of high school. I think he went to prep school. His first offer out of prep school was Georgia. And he's 6'9", Amari Stoudemire vibes. Of course, not a whole lot of hip mobility. So with those tight hips, every time he jumps for a rebound, I realize that he lands in a valgus, and that causes for injuries. And I know that's probably dissecting him a little too hard, but when you're looking at prospects, you can look at all these little things because this is what they talk about ceiling, and they talk about the trajectory of an athlete. So I believe aligning him with somebody in biomechanics or sports science will really bode him well for the future. But he's interested in me on the fact that I think he redshirted his first year, and that his next year, I think he went the year before this. I know he went to the Nike Hoop Summit and he got some feedback from some teams. I think he was projected, just a late first, early second guy. But I believe he was on draft boards after the Nike Hoop Summit last year. And then he takes over the college hoops world in the A10 that day. And so with that being said, I'm just like that ascension was so fast, and I wonder what his developmental track was like. And so that's why Obi Toppin is so interesting to me. And then I'm going with Precious Achua, another guy with a whole lot of defensive prowess on that side of the ball. And I just wonder, was he overshadowed by the whole Wiseman thing? Because I believe he's 6'9", athletic. I think teams could really use him. And I wonder, could he be at 12 for Sacramento? Would he fit?
He'll be there at 12.
Defense? You think so?
Yeah.
And what's interesting to me, I believe he led the team in rebounds. I know so rebounds and defense are his strong niche. I'm sure he has some offensive tick to him. But he's
who does he remind you of though? Do you see him playing the 5, or is he a 4? Because that's where I struggle with them. Like, to me, he's a 5, but he's not really strong enough to play the 5. And it goes back to player development. Well, the Kings have the right infrastructure for a guy like him, because if he goes to, say, the Heat or the Thunder or any of these teams who
Toronto
excel with player development, I would feel comfortable. But with the
Yeah.
Kings, will he just be another, one of these guys that they draft and they don't pan out, and then we blame the kid? And reality is, it had to do a lot with the situation because you're not drafting a star potentially at
Yeah.
number 12. I mean, it's happened a lot, but you're
Yeah.
like both you and I have talked about. We're looking for a guy who can come in and contribute right away. And do you
Yeah.
see him being that guy?
I don't know if you're familiar, but he reminds me a lot of Nas Reed. Nas Reed is he's a center out of LSU. I think he played some four when he was in the game with Karl Anthony Towns, but he went undrafted. He was projected first round. Talent of a lottery pick. I think they questioned his motor. He ended up going undrafted, two-way contract guy, and after summer league, he signed a deal for 4 years to a standard contract. He reminds me a bit of him, undersized, but could play the game. So I just want it just depends on the lineups and who's the five in Sacramento. Even let's just say he fell to Sacramento.
So right now it's Rashawn Holmes, who's a hell of a basketball player, but
Yeah.
they still need, as of right now, Alex Len will be a free agent. Harry Giles will be a free agent. Marvin Bagley, huge question mark, right? We don't know. So
Yeah.
he could make sense for sure.
Yeah, I guess it's whatever team he falls to, he could definitely be a four. But he's just interesting to me because I believe he got Memphis was definitely overshadowed with the whole James Wiseman fiasco. And James Wiseman, he would have made this top three list, but I think that list that would have been way too mainstream. I had to show somebody some love on a different side of the spectrum. If I would have said LaMelo, Obi Toppin, James Wiseman, if you look at draft boards, that's all you see. So I said Precious Achiuwa, he's very interesting to me. I think he led the team in rebounds. Fantastic player. I'm excited to see him.
Okay. I like it. And going
Yep.
back to your point, I would have said LaMelo too, right? Because there is such a bust star potential with him. I don't know if there's a middle ground with LaMelo, but if I had to bet,
Mhm.
I would say he's going to be a star in my opinion because I believe in him and I believe in his skill
Yeah.
set, that size,
Yeah.
that basketball IQ is savant esque.
Okay.
And for
Pistol Pete
someone,
type.
exactly, and like I always bet on basketball IQ over athleticism, over supreme athleticism any day of the week. That's just me though.
Because it
So
fades.
when I see that and I see his touch with that floater, he's going to get better with better coaching. That's a fact. He's going to get stronger with NBA top medical staffs. That's a fact.
Oh yeah.
So now it's his bad habits that he built his entire life since he was playing with his brothers as a eighth grader, I think, as a 13-year-old or something
Yeah.
like that. Well,
No.
they carry on to the NBA and hurt him so much to the point where he won't be a productive NBA player. Like, he has to check himself, look himself in the mirror, and say, I got to start playing defense or at least putting the effort towards playing defense. And I think everything else will take care of itself. That's why I'm banking on him being a star at the NBA level. Sorry. Um,
Definitely.
in terms of my top three guys, I'm going to go with Denny Advia. I love the kid. I think he's going to be a star as well. Everything from 6'9" to his foot speed to his IQ as well, playing with grown men, playing with NBA players at his team at Maccabi. I just feel like, and we all know this, European teams will play their vets over any of the young guys. And after the pandemic, post-pandemic, he was playing more. His percentages got better just because he was playing more. And anytime you mess up with someone's timing and rhythm, I mean, basketball is all about timing and rhythm. When you put in a
Right.
guy, and I watched the game pre-COVID against Real Madrid, in those 8 minutes, he looked like a star. Like, he was dominating. He came off the bench. He had like 8 points right away, like in eight minutes. He had about 3 assists, about 4 rebounds. He was killing it, and you saw those sparks. And you pull him out, and you give him sporadic minutes after that. What do you think is going to happen? It's just common sense. And I've always said, if Denny played in college basketball, the dude would average 25 to 30 a game, without question in my
Of
mind.
course.
So when people say, "Oh, he has bad stats," they're not really looking at the full picture, and they're not really seeing it contextually either. I just feel like when people say he's the next Saric, I laugh and I'm like, Saric has nothing at all with Denny Advia, like at all. This dude is fast. He's versatile. At 6'9", if you utilize him the right way, he's gonna be a beast. And I just hope he goes to the right situation. And I would love for him to be on the Sacramento Kings with De'Aaron Fox and a
Yeah.
Rashawn Holmes, who is a great diver to the rack, who can play great defense. Again, Denny Advia is going to be a good defender at the NBA level. I truly believe that. Will it be Luka Doncic? No. And it's so unfair because every white Euro, everybody automatically assumes, oh, he's just going to be not a Luka, or like everyone's expectations now is Luka Doncic. Like, that's the most unfair
There's no
thing.
middle ground with European players. Either is he Dirk Nowitzki or Luka, or is he bust? I was like, what?
Yeah, I want a productive player, and I feel like because he has the experience already playing at a high level in Europe with one of the best teams in the world, honestly, then he's going to come in and he's going to give you productive minutes. That's why I think he's one of the most interesting prospects in the upcoming draft. I would say Onyekwa is another one. I love the kid, his defensive versatility, that little hook shot that he has. He's going to come in and give you a spark defensively right away. He reminds me a little bit of Bam, but he's not as physical, obviously. But defensively, he's really good. He's really smart. Play with LaMelo Ball at Chino Hills.
Right.
And I don't know, man. I like him a lot.
Do you know a reporter by the name of Jordan Schultz?
Yep. I've
He just had Onyeka on live, and I was watching it, and I definitely commented, Bam's success will definitely play a toll in how Onyeka gets looked at. And I don't think Bam will definitely play all these point centers and these versatile big guys. Bam's success will definitely be an integral part of how they get drafted or looked at, and so that's a good thing because Bam's definitely having a hell of a time right now in the bubble.
And
And
I
so yeah, I can
slept
see
on
that
Bam, bro.
comparison.
Like I slept on Bam. I wasn't very high on
Really.
Bam, and I was completely wrong. Like, this dude is a beast. In year one, once I watched him play basketball, and then he came to Sacramento for the NBA Summer League in Sacramento, which was year number 2, I believe. I said on the vlog, this is all documented. This guy's gonna be a star. Like, I saw him play point center, and I saw him make those reads, and I saw his defensive versatility. I was like, dude, it's only a matter of time. And then this series took off. Like, I was wrong in the pre-draft process because the way Kentucky uses their big sometimes, it's very deceiving. The same with Michigan State and Jaren Jackson, how a lot of people didn't think that he was going to be great offensively. Fact of the matter is, he had that game. It's just that Tom Izzo didn't allow him to be him. And when he came and then when he came to the Memphis Grizzlies, he was balling, coming off of screens and like shooting the ball at 6'11". I was like, God, like, where was this in college, right?
Speaking of big men, Sacramento and Kentucky, what is the fiasco with Wayne Gabriel and Coach Calipari? I don't know if you kept up with that. I know Wayne was in Wenyen was in he was in Sacramento for some time.
Yep.
But what's the fiasco between the two? If you know anything about
I
that.
have no idea what it was, but again, that's another guy who reminds me of Precious. The big difference that I see between him and Precious is that Precious is a really good roller in the pick and roll, and I think that his
Yeah.
game is more advanced than Wenyen's, and Wenyen got a lot better when he went to the Blazers. Obviously, it's more structure. You got better players around him, but I was never a believer in Wenyen. I watched Wenyen work out for the Kings when he came for one of the pre-draft workouts, and even when they got him, and a lot of it was because he had a great relationship with De'Aaron Fox and obviously the Kentucky connection. But when he was with the Kings, great kid, great personality. But again, this is just basketball. I'm not talking about him, the person, but the basketball player. I wasn't very high. I wasn't impressed, which is why the Kings traded him. He played a lot better with the Blazers. But again, he would have never played if Collins wouldn't have gotten injured. I just
So
think he's a
you
guy
know,
that's a guy that will play 13, 14 type of guy at the end of the bench.
are you was in the pre-draft workout?
Yeah. So I remember interviewing him for sure.
Wow. So did he look in shape? Was he
Yeah,
well?
I mean, he
How
was
was he?
fine. He's long, he's athletic. I just didn't believe in his shot. I didn't believe in the strength, and you saw that when he played with the Kings. Like, at times he looked lost. He looked good in Stockton at times,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
even there, to me, he wasn't as consistent as I would have liked him to be. And then
Yeah.
he got traded for Bazemore, Anthony Tolliver, And yeah, so it was Trevor Ariza, Wenyen, and Swanigan for Bays and Tolliver and maybe someone else that I'm not thinking of. But that was a trade, and he played good minutes in the bubble. He gave him a spark. He was that guy that would hustle, but I just feel
Yeah,
like
energy guy.
yeah, I don't know. I just was never really high on him, and even even like a Jakar Sampson. I don't know if you recall that guy. Like I thought
Yeah, I do.
Jakar Sampson was better than he was at what they did. So I didn't mind trading him. And I know Kingsmen are gonna say, "Oh man, he's playing well. He's on the playoff team." Everybody that goes to a team who has a Dame Lillard, man, you're gonna look good. It's just the way it is.
Situational. Um, yeah, it's all situational. So that makes sense. But now, one thing I do want to see this new GM do is utilize Stockton in a totally different way. Actually, put that as an integral part of your team success. Stockton, the Stockton Kings. Again, Rico Hines. You have one of the most aforementioned developmental people in the basketball world on your staff. I'm not sure is he utilized correctly because he sure developed the hell out of Pascal Siakam and the Montrezl Harrell. So I don't, I think he
Right.
could do the same for Marvin Bagley or Harry Giles or whoever. So I believe I believe this new GM should use Stockton Kings well.
Okay, so I said Denny Advia, Onyekwa Kongu, and I would say my third man. I think the obvious is Vassell,
Donovan.
but it's Vassell. But I'm gonna go with Neesmith. I think Neesmith will be available at number 12.
He's a target. I looked at it. He's a target.
Yeah, he's nice. He's above 44% 3-point shooter, and I know a lot of the people in the comments are saying Sadiq Bey, who I also like. He's solid. He's a Villanova cat, but I'm gonna go with Neesmith because Neesmith has that size that I don't think a lot of people are talking about at 6'6", 6'7" with shoes. He's gonna be nice. He needs to add some strength. He has a nice offensive game to him. If you run him off screens, he's going to be good. And as I told you on your show, he reminded me of Cam Johnson for the Suns. And he could be that
Yes.
guy who can come in and get you buckets off the bench. And if he can improve his defensive IQ and just his overall defensive game, I think he'll be solid for a long time. And you know this, shooters have long
Make a
careers,
living.
man. And everybody wants a shooter. And I think he's that guy. Like, he's that great of a shooter. So those would be my top three guys. Obviously, like I said, Vassell. He's going earlier. In the beginning of the process, Vassell was targeted towards the Kings, but I think his stock has risen a lot, and I think he's going to be a top 10 guy. So with him out of the spot, then I would go Neesmith. Obviously, you've mentioned other guys that they'll be targeting as well. It just depends, right? Whoever they draft would tell me what direction they're headed in. I think people, yeah. So Jaden McDaniels, yeah. Someone said Jaden McDaniels. I love Jaden McDaniels. I mean, he has to be one of the most interesting guys out of Washington. Super long, right? Anytime you're 6'11", from 6'10" to 6'11", and you can move like a guard, the KD comparisons will always come out. Unfair or not, it's just the way it is
Yeah.
because of their
Yeah.
physical stature, right? Like the Brandon Ingrams of the world. McDaniels has a lot of
Yeah.
talent. Go ahead.
Yeah. Every 6'6" shooting guard is James Harden now. It's just it's crazy how the comparison could be.
Yeah, so
You
Danny
know.
McDaniels, and again, Bay is a big one. I know you're high on Sadiq Bay, so
Yeah.
we'll see what they do. I think we'll have a mock draft soon.
Yeah.
What's the next topic that we're talking about?
I think with Jamal Murray's emergence.
Okay. I was
Yeah.
wrong about him too. Like, that was one of the guys that I was not high in that 2016 draft, and a lot of it, I just feel like he has that clutch gene, and he's so blessed to have Joker essentially carry them, right, and he just closes out the games. But I wasn't as high on him. He was a tweaker guard at Kentucky, but his playmaking has gotten so much better at the next level. So again, props
Yeah.
to him, and I'm not afraid to say that I was wrong about him. Like, I was legit. I just didn't know how he would fit with the Nuggets because I I knew that they wanted to play him at the point, but I didn't see those skills very refined yet. And throughout the years, he's really worked hard. So I'll give him props for that.
Yeah, so I believe looking at the top 7, he went 7 in the 2016 draft. He was drafted in the right place, one, but there was definitely more people, I guess, better than him at that stage. The Ben Simmons, Buddy Hield, Brandon Ingram, Jaylen Brown. I think the only one that I can't resonate why he went. I think Chris Dunn at 6 over Jamal Murray at 7.
Was it Chris Dunn at 6? No.
Yeah, the Chicago.
I think it was Buddy Hield at 6.
No, Buddy Hield at 6. Chris Dunn went top. He went 5. He went somewhere. He went top to Chicago.
He went before Murray.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise, that was a mistake.
So I'm glad he got drafted there. And Calipari was saying the other day that Jamal Murray was the only Kentucky guard to average 20 in Calipari's tenure. So that goes to show he can play with great people, and he thrives around great people. And I kind of said, this is off topic, but Bradley Beal will be doing the same thing because they're both exceptional 3-level scorers. And so I think this is just bodes well for Jamal Murray. He's around talented people. He was around a talented crew at Kentucky, and he still averaged 20 and efficiently, of course, because Calipari doesn't do the one-man show, and Mike Malone doesn't do the one-man show. And so I guess it was all written. I believe this was all written. So his emergence was it's a surprise to me because different type of hoopers came out in this bubble today. Like for a TJ Warren to score 53, does he do that in a regular NBA environment? I'm not sure, but this bubble is definitely AAU type vibes for pure hoopers. So Jamal Murray's emergence is definitely something to marvel at. And I guess it was in the written because, again, him being the only Kentucky guard to average 20 around the talented cast efficiently means a lot. So
they're playing today. I think they should have won game 2. They definitely won game 3. They played very well. And if they win today, do you think the Lakers are in trouble?
I say this. The Lakers lost the last game because their effort in the first half wasn't there. Mm-hmm. And so Danny Green can have an off shooting night or whatever, but you cannot have an off night in effort against these Nuggets because these guys are hungry. And then with Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee, the Lakers were out rebounded 44 to 25. Mm-hmm. So and you're 6'9" across the board. That should not be happening. That should be no excuse. I think Danny Green only had 4 points. And so I think it's just the effort, the 3-point shot, and just because Bron and AD, they're going to get their double-doubles. And so I feel like the supporting cast, I think JaVale McGee maybe I don't think he scored. It was really low. The supporting cast didn't really. Kyle Kuzma is the X factor. I was expecting a lot more out of him. And so, but I think he did well, but I guess I was expecting too much. You just never know. But I think they cannot have an off night in effort tonight. Because if it goes 2-2, then it's gonna be a series. It's gonna be hell.
It really is. And I was thinking about this driving today. Are the Nuggets better than what all of us are giving them credit for? Have they always been as good? Or are the Clippers and Lakers not as good as we think they are?
No, I think the Nuggets are better than we give them credit for. And I think it's time to start giving Mike Malone his flowers for his development. Torrey Craig went undrafted. Paul Millsap was a second-round pick. Jokic was a second-round pick. Nobody saw this coming. And so I think, and they're so deep, and they picked Bo Bowl, and they took a chance on Michael Porter Jr. So I think their developmental prowess or in their developmental staff, or just them in that regard, we should be giving them their flowers. So we should be giving them the credit. The Lakers are as good as advertised, but again, it was the effort. That was the only thing that stopped the Lakers from winning the game. So I think it's time to give them
credit. So it was Ben Simmons, Ingram, Jaylen Brown. Bender was number 4. Dunn, Hield, and Murray. Okay, so Bender was the one that I couldn't remember. I was like, who the hell went? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So see, So the draft is an exact science in itself. So it's okay. It doesn't matter where you draft it, as long as you get in. So it's fine. It's fine.
And as a matter of fact, Dunn is a very serviceable backup point guard. He's a pest defensively.
For sure.
And so I'm not mad, honestly, at that, but I am mad about Bender. Wow. Okay. So Bender was the wild card there.
Yeah.
The recycling of some of the same coaches in the NBA was our next topic.
Tell me about it.
So did you like the hire? of what's his name? Going to the Bulls?
Was it No, Boylan got fired.
Billy Donovan.
Billy Don. He had a great time with the OKC, but I believe Jay Williams said this. You want to get this guy, you want to let him go blow off some steam, regroup. I wonder is he still stressed out? Like you just never know. I think it's time to give the new guys a thing. That the whole Mark Jackson's being blackballed from the league. That could be a thing. Ty Lue still doesn't have a job. I don't want to see Ty Lue in New Orleans.
Okay.
Well, no. Well, yeah. Well, I'm not sure how that will work. I think Chicago was best for him because I feel like their core is definitely they have a good core with Levine, Kobe White, Daniel Gafford's on the rise. Marketing, So I think Ty Lue would have been a great man for the job. But let's just see how this goes because Billy Donovan definitely knows how to coach. So we're not going to deny him that.
Yeah, he's from a wins and losses record. This year would have been his best if it wasn't shortened. I think he did a great job. Nobody expected the Thunder to take the Rockets to 7 games. Nobody expected them to make the playoffs, and they were a hell of a basketball team. They were tough. I didn't like the X's and O's from their offensive game plan. I thought they played way too much one-on-one. Their offense was way too stagnant for my liking, which then made the Rockets seem like they were good defensively because, the best defensive team in the bubble. And I was like, bro, it's not that hard to guard the Oklahoma City Thunder. So there was so many misperceptions about that. And going into the Laker game, it gave them more credit than what they really deserved. Again, I give them props for taking them to 7 games. The fact of the matter is, and I'm not a Russell Westbrook hater, Russell Westbrook made that team worse, and the Rockets would have closed them out if it wasn't for him returning sooner.
No, you're a Russ hater, bro. You definitely hate Russ. You told me. You told me. He definitely called me and said I hate Russ.
No, I did. I just feel like he's a black hole in the playoffs, man. It has nothing to do with him being a guy who leaves it on the floor every single game, which I love. I love his effort. I love his passion. But if he's your second, or obviously he's not a number 1 guy, but if he's your second best player, you're not going very far. He needs to be your third option, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can see that.
So there are other guys like ex Sacramento Kings head coach and Dave Joerger who will be in the running, right? He'll be in the running for a lot of these openings like Indiana, New Orleans. What else you got? New Orleans, Houston, right? Houston's one. And then Philadelphia is another one. How will these teams really approach us with the pandemic? How much money do they want to give up? So many interesting things, man, because they're saying that if Mike D'Antoni goes to the Sixers, they're going to change a lot of the squad, or they're going to at least try to. So when that happens and those rumors start, which this leads on to the next one, potential trades, Buddy Hield's name is always brought up because he's an elite shooter, in my opinion, top 3 shooter in the world. And if you put him in the Mike D'Antoni system, he's going to excel, right?
Yeah. Shooter, yeah. Small ball could work in the East. Don't go small. Don't try to do small ball with Philly. But if he's somewhere in the East, I believe it could work.
Okay.
And so I believe it could work. They'll be okay. But yeah. So it just depends. This Joerger guy, I never really kept in touch with him. How is he?
Dave is a really good coach. It's just the fact that he always had issues with the front office because he wanted to do things his way. And again, if I'm the head coach, I'm gonna want to do things my way, and I'm gonna want to coach my team to win games and not to serve as development guys. Like I want to win games, and if you deserve to play, you're gonna play, and if you don't deserve to play, then I'm gonna bench your ass. That's simple. So obviously they wanted to play Marvin Bagley and other people, and he was like, no, like these other vets are better than him, and the team is playing better with the vets. Again, I understood both sides of the story. As a front office, you want your guys to develop. As a head coach, you want to win games because that's what you're ultimately they blame you for wins and losses, right? You're scored on wins and losses. So I understood Dave Joerger as well. I know a lot of people on the chat are still talking draft. People are asking, is Russ getting traded? I think they should, but it's going to be a hard to move that contract. Right.
The contract is crazy.
Is there any potential trade that you like to see, or propose it out there that you like, and that way we'll let some people talk about it?
Um, this is my dream. I want to see Giannis to Dallas. I want to see him go to Dallas so bad with KP and Luca. That'd be crazy. But I know
How
it
would that
probably won't
work
happen.
though? What
Um,
what would they have to give? Oh well, he's a free agent, so
yeah,
man, that'd be unfair.
yeah. I think anywhere he
That'd be
goes would be a
unfair.
cheat code. But I think that's why the media gave him MVP. They want to keep him. They want to keep him in Milwaukee. It's a good narrative. It's good for the league
Yeah, of
to have it
course.
all balanced out. Because
It,
anywhere he goes, he's a cheat code.
if he goes to the Warriors, it's like KD all over again. Like, why would you want to watch basketball? You know who's going to the championship.
Even if he goes to Sacramento, you know.
Hey man, if he came to the Kings, we'll build him a
oh,
statue.
oh my God.
First day he gets out of the airport, the Kings will build him a statue, man. Big
Leo
facts.
said Leo said he'll clean out his locker himself.
I would, man. I would. But honestly, that's not going to happen. I think we
Yeah,
had a solid show today. We discussed a variety of topics. Anything
for
else you
sure.
want to talk about before we go watch the game? Because I don't know if it started yet or not. But
Yeah.
and what projects are you working on? Where should people follow you? All those good things.
Um, Yeah, for sure. So I know a lot of my content is on Instagram TV, and I did it like that because I just wanted to be a one-stop shop for my personal stuff. And so you could just follow my Instagram at Isaiah_Efoji. I don't know how it'll be spelled correctly, but Isaiah_Efoji. And everybody subscribe to my YouTube channel. A lot of my content will be put on YouTube, and it's just Cut the Deck TV. Cut the Deck TV, and just subscribe to my YouTube channel. Leo here, Cowbell Kingdom. He was on my podcast last weekend, I believe. And so we talked some good hoop too. So a lot of my content will be on my YouTube soon at Cut the Deck TV. But you can follow my Instagram at Isaiah Efoji. And you can follow my Twitter also as well as TrueChamp_001. Where it's a lot more hoop talk with a lot of more media personalities, journalists, and just hoop heads. And you can always get to my DMs on Instagram, Twitter, or whatever, and just talk hoop because it's something I like to do 24/7, 25/8.
Facts. I think someone just said there's a package out there that doesn't require us taking either Harris or Horford, then I would do it. Obviously, you're going to have to take on one of the big contracts. And Tobias Harris's contract is one of the worst in the NBA,
You think so?
along with Horford's. Again, I love both players, but Tobias ain't worth $40 million a year. And then Horford definitely isn't worth 30. So it's gonna be tough. I mean, if Mike accepts that job in one of the most ruthless cities in terms of fans who demand and expect so much, I don't know how he's gonna play his style of ball with such a big team. But we'll see, man. So we'll talk more strategized trades. We'll write them down, have them pre-checked in the
Yeah.
NBA trade machine before we propose them. Just want to come on here and just talk, like I said, top 3 most interesting prospects. And then we talked about how many years we think it'll take the Kings to make the playoffs. I said 2.
Yeah.
I think you said 3.
Yeah, it's gonna be more than 2, probably 3.
Okay, so that's what we think. Let us know what you guys think. Again, we'd appreciate if you guys can drop a review on iTunes and just slap this video, slap that like button, share with all your fellow NBA fans, your NBA community. We appreciate all the support, guys. Thank you guys so much for the support, and we'll see you guys on the next one.